Hello and welcome to this Keele University webinar for the School of Law. My name is Dr. Michael Fay. I'm a senior lecturer here at the school, and as sort of people start filtering in and joining us, I'd just like to take an opportunity to welcome you, to say hello wherever you are in the world, and to give you a little bit of an insight into what we do here at the school and what we offer you. So over the next sort of 30 to 35 minutes, I'll be talking through some of the elements of the law degree here at Keele, what we offer, and particularly some of the elements that we offer towards applicants and colleagues, friends who may want to join us from Canada, but also from other places around the world, as well as here in the UK. So without further ado, who are we? Well, generally, we're a global top 200 law school in the Times Higher Education World Rankings. We're 16th in England for staff to student ratio, so we have a very low number of students to staff, so you get a much more personal experience, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through. We have award-winning access to justice programs, and I will speak more about the CLOC program as we go through, but also about our legal advice clinics. And we are 13th in England for the research intensity from the Complete University Guide. So we have a lot of quality markers as an institution, as a law school, that really kind of give you a flavour immediately there of who we are. But more specifically, what our identity is and how that kind of links with the programs that we offer, sort of boils down to this. We're a medium-sized law school. We're very much around 200 people an academic year, so you get an opportunity to know your lecturers, to know your tutors, your professors. You get an opportunity to build a rapport, to build a relationship, to have that chance to stop and talk to them in the corridor or pop down to their office hours and knock on the door and ask any questions that you may have about the content or about university life, or to discuss possible sources of support if you need that. So we have that opportunity to get to know you, for you to get to know us, and for that kind of both-way conversation to continue, that two-way conversation to continue throughout your degrees. And that's a real advantage for us because it means that we're able to give you more tailored advice, to get a sense of where you want to go and how we can support you and point you in the direction of the right sources of support, the right options and opportunities within both the study with us and the extracurricular activities you can take part in. You'll all have a personal tutor, an academic mentor, we now call them an academic mentor, that will be with you through your 3 years of the degree. And if you're coming and studying with us on the graduate entry degree, or coming and studying with us from either from anywhere overseas, but Canada in particular as well, you will have an international tutor or a graduate entry tutor who will also oversee that group of students and be there as a source of support and a point of first contact, but also as a way of facilitating social events and a community around those students who will be finding themselves in another country, learning in a different environment from what perhaps we might be used to. And that is very much something we do strongly believe in here, is building a community and building those connections between people, whether you be from the UK or from abroad. We study the law in context here at Keele. So what that means is we don't just look at the rules and the regulations, we think about the justifications and the content behind them. Why do we treat people differently if they have a mental illness? What's the social and political and ethical reasons that we do that? Why do we place limitations through the criminal law on people's behaviours, and to what extent are they infringing on other people's rights? Take speech, for example. Where's the line between hurtful speech and free speech? And in that situation, we have to look at the social, political and ethical and moral issues behind the law. And through studying the law in context, what that enables us to do is give you a much more rounded picture of the way the law functions and how it applies in both the domestic context here in the UK, but also more broadly around the world, and including international organisations such as the UN, or indeed international organisations based around human rights, or pan-European ones like the European Court of Human Rights, the European Convention. We have a supportive and dynamic learning environment. I've already mentioned you'll have an academic mentor who will be a first point of contact throughout your degree. You'll get to know them, they'll get to know you, and you'll have regular meetings with them throughout the semesters to discuss your progress, discuss career options, things that you might want to pursue, and kind of just keep sort of touching base so that you've got a familiar face at all times that you know you can turn to when you need some advice, or indeed just to double check that you've understood some feedback, or in fact dig a little bit more deeper into it and decide and find what else you can do in order to push that grade boundaries. We also have a learning development tutor in the law school, somebody who is there to help with essay writing and structure. And this is not about supporting people who are struggling in the traditional sense, although people who perhaps find they're not achieving what they want will benefit from it. But it's also about helping people go from being a 2-1, 68%, to 72 and a first. So that learning tutor is about the broad range of support that's available academically, not merely about supporting those people who feel like they do need that support to succeed in their degree. It's about being able to facilitate everybody's success and to recognize that success comes in a variety of forms, and each of us will have a different measure of what success will be. Coming back to our community ethos and the fact that we have this strong community and that we get to know each other, we get to know you, and we have that two-way conversation at all times, that helps us develop and has helped us develop strong engagement with the legal profession and with our alumni who have previously studied at Keele. We have a lot of support from people who have gone on from study at Keele to practice in the legal profession, whether they be judges or solicitors, barristers, policy advisors, and a variety of other both sort of local government and business orientated careers, or even broader sometimes into teaching, into research. They have always been generous with their time, with their support for Keele, and often come back and share with us their experience and their advice about where to go, what to do, and how they would have done things differently, or indeed the things that they did that were successful. I'll talk a little bit more later on about these opportunities and how you might be able to benefit from them. But it's a very unique thing here at Keele, the strength of that connection we have with our alumni and the willingness and generosity that they share with us when it comes to supporting students. And that can be from networking events in Birmingham or London, or even here at the university itself. And there's always something going on for you to get involved with and for you to really make the most of that unique alumni support. Now, if you're here joining us this evening and you're coming from Canada, from one of the provinces in Canada, a little bit of sort of a kind of overview of what we offer in terms of our approved law programs. We would have, in terms of the NCA requirements, we meet what they ask for. We do meet our subject benchmark with the Quality Assurance Association. We also teach the 7 foundations of legal knowledge. So if you're thinking about joining us and sort of studying with us, either as a 2-year or 3-year degree options, you will have you can have the confidence that we meet the requirements of the NCA to be an approved law program. We also cover the key competencies within the NCA's kind of competency statement. They're the kind of barometer that they use for approved Canadian law programs. So we offer not only the meeting of requirements that the NCA set down for foreign-based law programs, but we also touch on those competencies and dig into those competencies that you will need to show and demonstrate to practice law in your home jurisdiction. And this applies more broadly to everybody, but we deal with things such as problem solving, legal research, oral and written communication, and ethics and professionalisms. And through our optional modules that you can take alongside those 7 foundations of legal knowledge, you can build a portfolio of modules that will allow you to gain experience and knowledge and expertise in those various areas. One thing that you will do all the way through the degree is engage with research and writing, and all students have to do with us a critical case commentary, which will mean that you get the opportunity to demonstrate as an assessment in a module that runs for the semester your ability to both research and communicate that research and communicate what is being done and what you've come up with and what you've found, your opinions on a particular case, through the ability through written communication. There'll also be opportunities to do mooting, to do oral presentations, and those will again build on those communicative situations. But we also offer Foundations of Canadian Law as a module. We have a dedicated course tutor, so not only will you be able to study some of the foundational elements of what makes the Canadian jurisdiction unique, its bijural nature. We'll look at the rights of First Nations individuals, discrimination, diversity. We'll look at the legislative process, but you also benefit from a dedicated course tutor, a dedicated point of contact to allow you to always have that familiar face that you can turn to should you feel that things are not progressing how you want, or perhaps you want some advice about options that you're considering to take as you progress through the degree. Giving a bit more of a sense and a flavour of those 2 and 3 year options. The first one we're looking at is the 2-year option. This is the Law Graduate Entry Programme. This runs over 2 years across the 2 semesters that we have here at Keele. And in year 1, semester 1, you'll study what we call legal essentials, which is the skill set required to explore and analyze the law, to engage with cases, to research the cases, to research journal articles, to make the most use of our resources here. And then alongside that, you'll study constitutional law and what we call obligations 1, the law of contract. And then on top of that, you will take one additional option from a choice of the modules that are available across business, politics, and the law school. Now, once you've completed those subjects, you move into semester 2 and you'll do the 4 core modules: Introduction to Property Law, Administrative Law, which picks up some of the themes already dealt with in constitutional law and looks at things like judicial review. And then you'll move on from obligations 1 to obligations 2 and look at torts. So you'll move from understanding the contractual nature of relations in private law to looking at the relations based around harms caused to individuals. And then alongside that, you'll study the criminal law as well, which will then round out the first year. In year 1, in year 2, in semester 1, you'll study obligations 3, which looks at remedies in contract and remedies in tort. So bringing the 2 subjects that you've already studied together. You'll also look at the law of real property and the law of trusts. And then you'll take one further option from a choice of modules that I will show you shortly, that we have some indicative ideas of what we have here available at Keele. In semester 2 of that second year, you would take EU law, you'd write your contemporary case law critique, which I mentioned a moment ago, and then you would take 2 further options to be able to round out the degree. You would have the option to take as one of those choices Foundations of Canadian Law, but you would then have the free choice to choose from the catalogue of modules that we run within the law school. If you wanted to do a 3-year program, the setup would look slightly different, but the same core modules run throughout. They're just spread over a longer period of time. The main distinction that I would draw your attention to at this point is that in having the 3-year option, in studying the 3-year option, you gain an additional flexibility in being able to explore more modules, being able to explore more legal subjects, and to gain a broader understanding of the law as it is, both in the modules focused on international law and the modules focused on domestic law in the UK. You would have one option in either semester in year 1. You would have 2 options in either semester in year 2 and 3 options in either semester in year 3. So you can see that it gives you a greater scope to build the kind of degree that you want to come away with. If you want to focus on commercial aspects of the law, you would have the ability to do that. If you wanted to focus on social justice, you would have the ability to do that as well. So depending on the themes you want to pick up, there will likely be modules that do exactly what you're looking for, or at least something close to the areas of subjects that you're interested in. Want to know more about the family and how the law engages with family? We have both family and child law, for example, that you could do in your second and third year. Now, you can still have some optional choices in the 2-year degree, as I showed you a moment ago, but there is just that greater scope in the 3-year programme. And just to give you a sense of some of the options that you could choose from in the graduate entry year 1 or the LLB, the 3-year programme in the second year, you have the options of things like Introduction to International Law, Law and Ethics, Family Law, Key Concepts in Employment, Intellectual Property, Residential Conveyancing, Civil Litigation. So there's options that both look at things from an academic perspective, exploring the law and ethics and the morality of different provisions, the morality of different statutes and the way we govern the lives of individuals, both here and around the world. Or you can do something which is much more practice focused and looking at the rules of civil litigation and the practice of civil litigation and getting a greater sense of the professional requirements and the professional skill sets that you require in order to succeed as a lawyer. In the graduate entry year 2 or the third year of the LLB, you would have the option of things like healthcare, business leases, commercial law, environmental law, international human rights, child law, a dissertation should you wish to explore a topic that we haven't covered or something that you found very interesting in another module that you'd like to dig a bit deeper into, and is a fantastic way of showcasing your knowledge, your enthusiasm, and those written communication skills, which are very important when we're talking about governing bodies or regulatory bodies of the legal profession around the world. Of course, there's also the option to do something more practically focused, so professional legal skills, wills, probate and drafting. Those and business leases, for example, will offer the opportunity to study and explore from a more practical perspective, looking at things from the aspect of a practitioner rather than digging into something from the perspective of the academic and kind of the academic exploration of law, the purposes behind it and the nature of it. Those modules, such as professional legal skills, will be much more about the actual skill sets that you need to succeed as a practitioner. Beyond the degree, which obviously is a major point for which you would choose to join us, there are many opportunities that will help enrich both your experience and your CV and skill set when it comes to leaving and pursuing your chosen careers. The opportunities that you have here include the Keele Legal Advice Clinics, and we currently have 2 operational ones, and there is a 3rd in development. The Legal Advice Clinics deal with commercial aspects of the law for small and medium enterprises, so small and medium businesses, and also there is a non-contentious divorce clinic. So there's an opportunity to practice family law and there's an opportunity to practice commercial law. Both of these give you the opportunity to provide legal advice. You conduct legal research, you have the opportunity to do legal drafting, so you are writing the court documents, you are writing the contractual documentation, and you're explaining the key legal concepts in a way that your clients understand. And all of this is done in a safe and supported environment where you are overseen by a solicitor who is able to guide you and support you and supervise you so that you never at any point feel like you've been thrown into the deep end. This gives you the opportunity to build those skills and build some experience that then you can use later on as evidence of those key competencies when you're doing interviews as either a solicitor or a barrister in the UK or a lawyer in another jurisdiction around the world. It equips you with the skills, but it also gives you the opportunity to work with people and to get a real sense of what it's like to be a practitioner, which is invaluable when we are sort of making a decision about what can be a career that you're pursuing for the rest of your lives. And that can be really helpful in narrowing down opportunities. Perhaps you try the legal advice clinic for commercial law and find that you're not a commercial lawyer, but then you try the divorce clinic and you actually find that that is an area of law that you wish to practice. Another opportunity that we have here is the Community Legal Outreach Collaboration at Keele, or CLOC. Now, CLOC is an outreach project which in works slightly differently from the advice clinics, where there you're giving the advice with the support of a solicitor. Here, what you're doing is you're providing support to people who are bringing their cases to court, what we call litigants in person. So those who are not being represented by a solicitor or barrister in the UK or a lawyer in somewhere else in the world. You're supporting them to get through the court process, to understand it, to understand the terminology, perhaps the forms that they need to fill out, or understand where sources of support can be accessed, and helping those people through the process that can seem to the layperson intimidating and at times quite terrifying. And it gives you the opportunity to work with people, to be there as a source of support, but not advice, but to be able to help vulnerable people or people who are from disadvantaged situations where they can't access legal support, to be able to bring their cases, to understand the situations that they're in, understand the language that's being used, and therefore and find themselves in a position where they're not disadvantaged and actually do successfully make their cases. Now, one of the opportunities this presents is for you to staff a desk down at the Stoke Combined Courts, the Stoke-on-Trent Combined Courts, and in that situation, you might meet anybody. You will be approached by, 1 minute you could be dealing with a housing issue and signposting support to various housing charities, and the next minute you could be advising somebody of the appropriate solicitor's number to give a call, or advising them of the right forms that they might need to complete, and helping them understand what needs to be input into the forms in order to either access certain opportunities, access certain support, or to submit the claims that they want to make to the court. This gives you an opportunity to be on the front line, to engage with the public, but also to give something back to the community and to support people who may otherwise not be able to gain access to justice. And that's a hugely important and nationally recognised aspect of this scheme. Clock is actually something that other universities have rolled out as well, but it originated with us here at Keele, and it's something that we're immensely proud of. But there's more opportunities than that for you throughout the entirety of the degree process here, whether or not you're doing the 2 or 3 year options, where you can take part in a mooting competition, arguing an appellate judgment in order to either overturn or defend the first instance decision. So you would essentially be taking the role of advocates who would be then presenting the argument to the appellate judges to make the claim that either the first judgment should be overturned or subsequently that the judgment should be upheld. It's a great way of developing your research skills. It's a great way of developing your advocacy skills, your speaking skills, your public presentation skills, and it does give you a sense and a flavour about what you can do and how you do advocacy. Sometimes our students have even had the fabulous opportunities to moot in the Supreme Court here in the UK. So the bottom picture there on the right hand side of the slide is of 2 students from just pre-COVID, I think 2019 this was taken, where they were mooting the final of our internal competition in court number 1 in the Supreme Court in London. We also have the opportunity for you to do client interviewing, where you essentially take the role of a solicitor in the first meeting with a client, and your job is to get the maximum information you can in a short time frame while giving general advice and setting out the next steps that you might take with a particular problem. These can be quite challenging, and it can be quite an interesting but also enjoyable way of digging into those interview skills that you might want to then pick up in another professionally orientated module, where you'll have the opportunity to further explore what client interviewing is. It can be quite a difficult process sometimes when you get a very challenging, perhaps emotionally charged circumstance in the scenario that's given to you, but it really again does give you the opportunity to enhance those skills and show that not only can you relate well to people and communicate well with people, but that you've got an opportunity to think on your feet, and you can think on your feet and gain information and draw information out of somebody who may or may not be, as the person will be acting, in a distressed situation. You may also have opportunity to take part in negotiation, which is where you're trying to resolve a dispute, not through going to court, but through an alternative means. And here you're trying to negotiate the best outcome for your client. And that can be both challenging because you've got to work your way around the opposition's sometimes difficult and intransient positions, but also do so in a way that is favorable to your client, or as favorable as it can be. It can be very rewarding. It gives you an insight into a different form of work that you might do as a lawyer, but it also gives you the opportunity to develop those negotiation and mediation skills, which could be very significant as you move into a legal career, and will be something that you come back to, especially if you're working as an attorney or a solicitor in the UK. Those skills will be very much at the forefront, particularly in things like alternative dispute resolution for contracts or in family mediation. There's also the opportunity sometimes to work with the academics here in the law school as research assistants and to assist us in the projects that we're doing, to develop an insight into what it's like to be an academic and what it's like to do research as part of your job. This kind of is a different opportunity to some of the others that we've already talked about, and it gives you an insight into a different career. But even if you weren't thinking about being an academic, it offers you the opportunity to really dig into that research aspect and to really enhance those skills that you will already be developing through the different modules that you've taken, where research is part of the learning experience. There's also the opportunity to be part of the editorial board for the Keele Law Review, our in-house journal. And that's the opportunity to work with academics to edit and produce each volume of the Keele Law Review as it's published throughout the years. And that gives you the opportunity to develop skills that are, again, about copywriting and about attention to detail, communication, and thinking about the audiences and the cogency and coherence of arguments that will be presented to you in the papers that you will be reviewing and deciding whether or not they should be published as an editorial board. We also have a Citizens Advice Bureau placement module that puts you in the Citizens Advice Bureau. You get to do some work experience with them, spend the semester working there, and have the opportunity to do so many voluntary hours a week. What you do is you write a portfolio around what you do in the Citizen Advice Bureau, and also a short reflective research paper around some of the issues that you've encountered. It gives you the opportunity again to work with people, to build those communication skills, to build that understanding of the kinds of issues that might come up in a legal career, but also to be able to develop that understanding of process and procedures and sources of advice and sources of support that you might want to signpost people to, which gives you a greater understanding of the legal profession and legal kind of connections and how different agencies overlap and work and functions together. It's also an opportunity to give something back again, just like in the clock program, but this time it gives you the opportunity to do so in a different environment. And that module is very popular. There is an interview process for it, but it is one that is highly recommended. We also have work experience prizes. Should you perform extremely well in certain modules, there are work experience prizes with local law firms and other businesses attached to them. So those opportunities are there to chase. But we also have the legal dining event, and the legal dining event is a very important entry in our calendar every year, where alumni and other contacts in the legal profession return to Keele, join us for an evening's dinner and network with the students. You have the opportunity to spend the evening with the professionals at your tables. They're not just seated at one end of the room and you sort of have to go up and face the gauntlet. They're sat around the room with you, dispersed throughout the room, and you have at least 2 people on your table who you can chat with and network with over the evening. And obviously you get the opportunity as the evening develops to move around and to meet different people. But it's a really good opportunity in a formal but relaxed environment to meet with people and network with individuals, to also gain that insight into their career journey and what they're doing at this present time. And they could be solicitors, they could be barristers, they could be policy advisors. The opportunities and the career paths that will be kind of our students have taken and our alumni have still pursuing will very much be across a spectrum of opportunities. One of the things that's great about the legal dining event is that we prepare you for it, we give you grounding in kind of networking skills, we give you a sense of what to look out for, what to prepare, and you have the opportunity to then network with those individuals and hopefully make the most of it. And students have repeatedly come away from that event with work experience offers. So there is a real opportunity there for you to make the most of it. And we also have one other thing to mention that's also in the same league as the legal dining event is a law fair, a careers fair every year where employers and law firms, other employers who are interested in either in-house legal opportunities or perhaps adjacent careers that come to Keele, come speak to our students, and are always hugely complimentary about the quality of student and the quality of experience that we're giving them, and also the skill sets that we're developing here at Keele. So that's also something that we have annually, usually in November, where people really have the opportunity to, again, network with firms, network with lawyers, and often network with students from past cohorts. Just this November, I did pop along to the law fair, and it was indeed at least 50% of them. 50% of the stalls that were there were manned by former students who I'd met over the years I've been here at Keele. So it really does, again, showcase that unique connection we have with our alumni and that community that we have built all throughout the years that Keele Law School has been in operation. Beyond the school itself, I just wanted to take a moment to talk not just about the opportunities in terms of extracurricular activities, but also the opportunities that are here within our locality. We have a beautiful campus of 600 plus acres. We're in the middle of rural Staffordshire, which is a beautiful county with a great deal of open countryside to explore. But we're also 20 minutes from a town as a university, and only 40 minutes by bus from Stoke-on-Trent, the nearby city. One of the best things about this location in the UK is that we have fantastic transport links, and we can really be a brilliant base to explore the rest of the UK. We're only an hour from Birmingham or Manchester, should you wish to visit those. We're only an hour from Liverpool even, and only 90 minutes from London, and all other places in the UK that you might wish to visit, or even transport, airports, anything that you might think you need in terms of access are accessible from Keele within a couple of hours, or if you want to push further afield and visit places like Edinburgh, within a handful of hours, but the transport links are there. So not only have you got all of the extracurricular activities and the degree itself, but there's also all of the opportunities that being with us at Keele presents in terms of being able to explore the UK and beyond, if you so wish to do so. One last thing to mention is the graduate destinations of our students. 96% of graduates are in full-time or paid employment within 6 months of graduation. So we have a really strong success rate in terms of students leaving us and then pursuing their careers in full-time paid employment or further education. So that might be a master's, that might be a vocational course, studying to be a solicitor or a barrister, but 96% of our graduates have gone on to either pursue a further qualification or have moved into full-time employment, and indeed may have done both. Many students also take the opportunity to work part-time, perhaps in a law firm if that's their career path, and also study part-time to prepare for a future career in the legal profession. The range of graduate destinations includes things like solicitors, barristers, a range of legal and non-legal roles, the government, civil service, education, businesses of all types, and third sector organisations and charities. So we have a huge range of experiences in terms of our alumni and a huge range of outcomes for those who have graduated with us recently. Graduates from Keele are every single level of seniority in the legal profession, and we include Court of Appeal judges like Lord Justice Peter Coulson here, and the first Lord Mayoress of the City of London. We have barristers who specialise in modern slavery and are experts in their profession. And we have, if you look through the BBC history, you'll find Erin Cutcliffe, who was on the prosecutors on the BBC. She is a Keele alumni. We have KCs, King's Counsels, who are obviously at the top of their profession. And we have a range of other experiences that have come out of our degree programs. And that leaves me just to say thank you for joining us, and thank you for coming this evening. And hopefully that's given you a sense and a taste of what we offer here at Keele and what we are able to deliver in terms of both the degree and the wider experience that you can expect if you choose to join us in September 2023. If you're interested in learning more about us, you can follow us at social media on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We're on all of them. Have a look, get a little bit more of a sense about what we are. And if you so wish, you can always get in touch with the school at the contact details there in the bottom left-hand corner. And of course, search our website, find me on there. My contact details are on there, and you can always drop me an email, or indeed drop our admissions team an email as well. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hope to either hear from you or see you at some event very soon.